The Big Bang did not bang. You've heard the story before. An explosion from nothing, a deafening roar birthing stars, galaxies, and the very fabric of space itself. But what if that image was a lie? Not a malicious one, but a convenient myth, a way to make sense of something far stranger, far more incomprehensible. You picture it now, don't you? A bright flash, a blinding surge of energy ripping through a void. But what if there was no flash, no explosion, no sound? What if the beginning of everything was quiet? Impossibly quiet. A whisper, not a war cry. A stretch, not a spark. You might find that unsettling, that the origin of all things, your breath, your thoughts, this very moment, began in a way no human could truly witness or feel, because there was no one there to witness it, no time to feel, no space to hold it, just nothing. And yet, from that nothing came everything. Pause for a moment. Let that idea settle into your mind like cosmic dust falling on untouched ground. Nothing existed, not atoms, not time, not even the concept of before. There was no before. And then, somehow, impossibly, there was. If you could rewind the universe, peel back every second of existence like layers of ancient light, what would you find at the end? A wall of silence? A dark stillness so complete that even the idea of darkness is meaningless? Or would you find something worse, something that defies logic altogether? A beginning that is not a beginning, a cause that is not a cause, an origin with no originator. Science tells us the universe began 13.8 billion years ago in an event we call the Big Bang. But the deeper we look, the more it slips through our fingers like smoke. The equations begin to break down. Gravity twists into quantum chaos. The line between something and nothing becomes so blurred it might as well not exist. And so we ask, what came before the Big Bang? But that question is a trap. Because before is a word that only makes sense inside time. And time, as far as we know, was born with the universe. So how can anything exist before existence? This is where the ground under your feet begins to vanish. You were told that nothing means empty space, but that, too, is a deception. True nothingness is not a dark room waiting to be lit. It is the absence of the room itself. No walls, no void, not even the laws that tell voids how to behave. And yet, out of this absolute absence arose the totality of all things. Stars, atoms, music, love, you. How? There is a theory that quantum fluctuations, tiny, random jitters in the quantum field, sparked our universe into being, that the void is never truly empty, but teems with uncertainty. But then we must ask, where did the quantum field come from? What seeded the rules that let it jitter in the first place? Others propose that the universe is a simulation, a projection, cast by something outside our reality. But even that just pushes the question back. Who built the projector? Who pressed play? You begin to see the paradox. We are trapped in a loop of origin stories that cannot begin because beginnings require time, and time requires space, and space is part of the thing we're trying to explain. So what if life, the beating heart of this question, is not a product of matter at all, but of meaning? What if the universe exists not because it must, but because it can? Because possibility, at the deepest level, might be more fundamental than atoms or energy. This is the shock. This is the truth you were never told in school. That nothingness is not simple. That existence may be the default state of reality, not the exception. And that every law of physics, every breath you take, every heartbeat you've ever felt, may be the echo of something that never needed to begin in the first place. So when we ask, how did life start from nothing? We're really asking, why is there anything at all? And in that question lies a quiet terror, and an even deeper wonder. Because the real mystery isn't just that life began, it's that nothing could not hold it back. The universe, as we know it, began with light. Not the warm flicker of a flame, but a primal radiance, an ancient glow so intense it was once all there was. Scientists call this the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of creation itself, still humming softly in every corner of the cosmos. A whisper from a time before galaxies had names, before time had rhythm, before matter knew how to hold form, and yet, what we see now is only the faded memory of that moment. Stretch your mind across the stars, beyond the light of the nearest galaxies, and you'll find that glow still lingers. A dim, cold signal, like an echo from a fire long extinguished. But it tells a story of a universe once compressed into something smaller than a grain of sand. Then, suddenly, impossibly, expanding. That's the story we've been told. A singularity, a point of infinite density. Then, bang, space stretched, time unraveled, and all that was locked inside began to scatter like sparks into a black ocean. But even now, physicists hesitate when they speak of that bang, because it wasn't a conventional explosion. There was no space for sound to move through, no pre-existing canvas for light to dance on. It was expansion, yes, but not into space. Space itself was expanding. And that changes everything. Imagine blowing up a balloon, not into a room, but into the absence of a room. Not into emptiness, but into the creation of dimension itself. It wasn't that the universe exploded into something, it became the something. And even that analogy limps when it reaches the event horizon of understanding, for in those first slivers of time, fractions of a second so small they defy human intuition, the laws of physics as we know them did not exist. Gravity hadn't taken shape. The forces we use to build our reality, electromagnetism, the strong and weak nuclear forces, were one, woven into a singular essence we still don't fully comprehend. The universe was not just hot. It was chaos embodied. A furnace not only of fire, but of laws, of logic, of everything that would one day allow stars to form and eyes to see. We call this epoch Planck time, the smallest measurable unit of time. 10^43 seconds after the birth of the cosmos. Before that, the veil is thick. The math fails. Even our best theories collapse into paradoxes and infinities. What came before that moment remains the most impenetrable mystery in science. And yet, from this storm of incomprehensibility, order began to emerge. Quarks, those primordial building blocks of matter, danced into existence. Gluons stitched them together. Photons flooded the expanding void, carrying the first hints of energy across a young and restless universe. It wasn't still. It wasn't peaceful. It boiled. It screamed in silence. And then, gradually, it cooled. But here is where the certainty begins to wobble. Because as we track the expansion of the universe backward, using equations carved from Einstein's general relativity, we reach a wall, a point where our tools no longer work. General relativity breaks down under the pressure of quantum uncertainty. The large clashes with the small, and our entire understanding fractures. It's as if the cosmos was built atop a code we've only begun to decipher. A language where even the grammar is foreign. And then comes the contradiction. The unsettling whisper, if the universe is expanding, what is it expanding into? We imagine a border, a line drawn around all of space. But the universe has no edge, no wall, no outside. The very fabric of reality is curved, folding in ways our senses cannot grasp. If you traveled in a straight line long enough, you might return to where you began. Not because you turned, but because space itself bent around you. Like a cosmic Mobius strip, endless and boundaryless. So where does it begin? Scientists suggest the universe may be finite in size, but unbounded, like the surface of a sphere, but in higher dimensions. Others propose it's infinite, stretching forever, with no beginning and no end. An endless ocean of galaxies adrift in dark matter and darker questions. But both paths lead to strange terrain. Because whether the cosmos is bounded or boundless, there's one problem we cannot ignore: entropy. The second law of thermodynamics tells us that all systems tend toward disorder. That energy, over time, becomes less usable. Stars die, heat spreads, and eventually everything cools into stillness. So why did the universe begin in such an improbable state of low entropy? Why did it start so ordered, so full of potential? It's like walking into a room and finding a deck of cards perfectly arranged, not just once, but in every possible reality. It shouldn't be like that. Not by chance, not without reason. Unless there's more to the story. Some theorists suggest our universe is just one bubble in a vast multiverse, that what we see as the beginning is merely a local event in a much grander landscape of endless inflation, that there are other universes, strange, silent, unseen, popping into existence, each with its own laws, its own fates, and ours just happens to be one where life could emerge, where complexity could rise from dust. But that answer, too, leaves you uneasy, doesn't it? Because if there are infinite universes, then anything that can happen does happen. Somewhere. Including versions of you, countless, endless, flickering in and out of existence like dreams half-remembered. It stretches your mind beyond comfort, beyond reason, beyond meaning. And yet, here you are, alive, breathing, listening, in a universe where black holes outnumber stars, where dark energy pushes galaxies away faster than we can reach them, where 95% of everything is made of something we can't even see. And still, we look, we wonder. We build telescopes to peer deeper into time, hoping that somewhere in that ancient light, the cosmos might whisper its origin. But maybe, just maybe, the universe isn't hiding its truth. Maybe we're just not ready to hear it. What if time doesn't flow? What if the moment you were born, the second you're living right now, and the instant of your death are all already written, like frames on a reel of film? This isn't science fiction. It's a theory, one whispered in physics labs and cosmology seminars. It's called the block universe, and it suggests that time, as we experience it, is an illusion, that the past, present, and future all exist simultaneously, forever. Imagine reality as a towering film reel in the void, Each frame, each second, is frozen in place. You're simply watching the reel play forward, one moment after another. But the story has already been written. The Big Bang, the rise of stars, the end of life, all inked into the cosmic script. But if time isn't flowing, if it's just there, then what sparked the flow of events we think we're experiencing? What breathes life into the story? To understand that, we must go back, not just to the birth of the universe, but to the death of understanding itself. The singularity. In general relativity, a singularity is a point where the math stops making sense, where space and time curve so sharply that the rules of physics collapse. The center of a black hole is a singularity. But the birth of the universe, too, may have been one, the ultimate contradiction. A place where time begins, but the idea of beginning has no meaning. Einstein's theory gives us the machinery to model gravity and space-time. But the closer we push back to the Planck epoch, the first instant of existence, the more that machinery breaks apart. We need quantum mechanics to understand the smallest scales, but we need relativity for the large. Combine them, and they clash. They scream, and from that scream arises one of the most haunting ideas in modern physics: that space and time themselves may be emergent phenomena, illusions born from something deeper. Some physicists believe the fabric of space-time is not fundamental, that beneath it lies a quantum landscape made not of particles, but of information. That reality, at its most basic level, is computational. Think about that. Not solid, not even fluid, but code. Strings of data interacting in patterns we experience as matter, force, and time. Like a dream built from numbers. A simulation, not necessarily by design, but by nature. It's here we encounter the radical beauty of loop quantum gravity, a theory proposing that space is quantized, that the universe is made of tiny loops woven together, like threads in a cosmic fabric. Each loop a grain of space itself. In this vision, space-time is not continuous. It's granular, digital, discrete, and, if space is made of grains, then time might tick. Not flow. Tick, tick, tick. One Planck moment to the next. But wait, what if the ticking isn't linear? Enter the theory of time loops. At the quantum level, particles don't simply move forward in time. They can, under certain formulations, move backward. Antimatter can be seen as matter traveling in reverse. Quantum entanglement seems to ignore the arrow of time altogether. A change here affects a particle there instantly, no matter the distance. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. But what if it's more than spooky? What if the universe loops? One theory, conformal cyclic cosmology, proposed by Roger Penrose, suggests that the universe will not end in a cold heat death, but will instead reset. That after countless trillions of years, when all black holes have evaporated and matter has decayed, the universe becomes so smooth and empty that time loses all meaning again. And in that timelessness, a new Big Bang is born. A new aeon begins. A new story unfolds. You may not survive, but the universe will. And perhaps it already has. Perhaps this isn't the first universe, but the latest in an infinite chain of rebirths, each one erasing the memory of the last, but leaving behind faint echoes. Penrose believes we might see these echoes in the background radiation, the soft glow of the Big Bang, like fingerprints left by previous universes. Still, even that isn't the most radical idea. For that, we must leave our universe entirely. Imagine everything you've ever known, every star, every law, every particle, is just one bubble in an endless cosmic foam. This is the multiverse. In one version, proposed by eternal inflation, the universe is constantly giving birth to new universes. Ours was just one bubble in a much larger inflating field. As that field decays, it spawns more bubbles. Each one, its own universe, with its own laws of physics, its own timeline, its own possibilities. In another version, the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, every quantum decision branches reality. Every time a particle chooses path A or path B, the universe splits. In one, the cat is alive. In the other, it's dead. And in another still, you never watched this video. In fact, every possible version of you exists somewhere. Each choice, each thought, radiating across infinite timelines. It's a dizzying thought that there are infinite yous, infinite Earths, infinite beginnings. But then, why this one? Why this universe with these laws? Why a cosmos so perfectly tuned for life? Physicists have marveled at this fine-tuning, that the constants of nature, gravity, electromagnetism, the mass of the electron, are just right to allow complexity. If gravity were a little stronger, stars would collapse too quickly. If it were weaker, they wouldn't form at all. If the strong nuclear force were different by even a fraction of a percent, atoms wouldn't hold together. No stars, no chemistry, no life. Is this luck, design, or inevitability? Some argue that in a multiverse, everything that can happen does happen somewhere. We exist in this universe because it happens to allow us to. We are the product of cosmic selection. Like finding yourself on a planet with air, you don't marvel that you can breathe, because if you couldn't, you wouldn't be here to wonder. And yet, the mystery deepens, because even if the multiverse exists, even if other universes abound, it doesn't explain why there is something rather than nothing. All these theories, the block universe, loop quantum gravity, time loops, conformal cycles, multiverse branches, they are dazzling, but they are still fingers pointing at the moon, not the moon itself. They tell us how the universe might work, but they don't tell us why it began. Why the cosmic clock started ticking at all. Why there is even a stage for anything to be. And so we descend deeper, into the ultimate riddle, into the paradox that may never be solved. What happens when knowledge reaches its edge? We like to think science gives us answers, but more often than not, it hands us better questions. Questions that break our minds open and leave us staring into the abyss. And perhaps the greatest question of all is this: can something truly come from nothing? The vacuum of space, we're told, is not truly empty. Thanks to quantum field theory, we know that even in the absence of matter, energy bubbles in and out of existence. Particles flicker into being and vanish almost instantly. These are called virtual particles, a dance of temporary existence, a quantum foam, a silent storm beneath reality. Some theorists suggest this vacuum energy could spark an entire universe, that perhaps a fluctuation, just the right fluctuation, triggered the Big Bang, that from nothing everything bloomed. But this explanation, elegant as it sounds, hides a deeper issue, because the nothing described here is not true nothing. It's a field, a vacuum with laws, rules, dimensions, possibility. So where did those come from? If your answer to how did something come from nothing requires a pre-existing field governed by mathematics, then you haven't reached the origin yet. You've just renamed the starting line, This is the quantum creation paradox, that our best physical theories attempt to explain the birth of the universe by relying on things that already exist: energy, potential, symmetry. But the question was never, how did something come from almost nothing? The real question is, why is there anything at all when nothing should be easier? It's a puzzle that has tormented philosophers for millennia, and now it torments physicists too. Enter the cosmic censorship hypothesis, the idea that the universe hides its deepest truths behind horizons, that singularities, those points of infinite density, are always cloaked, veiled behind black holes or the veil of the Big Bang itself, that we are not meant to see them, as if the universe has secrets too dangerous to show. But some physicists rebel against this idea. They peer into the mathematics of information loss, wondering what happens to data that falls into a black hole. Stephen Hawking once believed it vanished, that the universe allowed information to be destroyed. But this shattered the core of quantum mechanics, which insists information must be preserved, even if scrambled. The debate became legendary. War of paradoxes. If information is lost in black holes, then time itself might break. If it's preserved, then something must survive the collapse, encoded on the event horizon. This gave rise to one of the most mind-twisting theories in modern physics, the holographic principle, that everything inside a volume of space can be described by information on its boundary, that our three-dimensional reality might actually be a projection, a hologram cast from a distant cosmic surface we can't perceive. Think about that. Your body, your memories, your experience of this moment might be the shadow of something more fundamental, a 2D layer encoding the illusion of depth. You're not in the universe. You are the universe, encoded. But even here, another paradox looms, because if we are holograms of deeper information, then that information must exist somewhere. And if it exists, it must have originated. Which leads us back, again, to the question of beginnings. So we dig deeper. We confront the arrow of time. Why time seems to flow in one direction, from past to future. Why you can remember yesterday, but not tomorrow. Entropy gives us a clue. Disorder increases. Systems decay. But at the quantum level, the laws of physics are time-symmetric. They work the same forward and backward. So why don't we live in a world where time runs both ways? Is the arrow of time an illusion born from probability? Or does it emerge from the initial conditions of the universe, conditions that were so staggeringly low in entropy? They seem almost unnatural. It's like tossing a deck of cards and having them land in perfect order, not once, but always, over and over. Physicist Sean Carroll once asked, why was the entropy of the early universe so low? It's a question with no satisfying answer. No theory yet explains it without resorting to fine-tuning or anthropic reasoning. We exist in a universe that looks designed for time, complexity, and consciousness. But whether that's evidence of deeper purpose or just cosmic lottery remains unanswered. This brings us to Gödel's rotating universe, a solution to Einstein's equations that allows for closed time-like curves. In simpler terms, time travel. In this model, space twists so violently that if you travel far enough in a certain direction, you loop back to your own past. It's theoretically valid, but terrifying. Because if the universe allows time loops, then causality unravels. Cause and effect blur. You could become your own ancestor. Reality could collapse under contradiction. And yet, quantum theory introduces even stranger paradoxes. Schrödinger's cat, alive and dead until observed. Superposition, particles existing in multiple states at once. Entanglement, objects, linked across space and time. These aren't just metaphors, they're experimentally verified phenomena. The double-slit experiment shows us that observation changes reality, that the act of measurement collapses the wave of possibility into a single outcome. This opens the door to a question few dare to ask. Is consciousness fundamental? Does the universe require observers to take form? John Wheeler, a pioneering physicist, once proposed the participatory anthropic principle that observers are not just passive entities in the universe, but active participants in its unfolding. That reality isn't complete without consciousness, that perhaps the cosmos comes into being because we are here to witness it. You might recoil at the idea. It sounds mystical, unscientific, but quantum mechanics keeps whispering that reality at its core is not a fixed thing, but a field of probabilities shaped by interaction. And this, finally, brings us face to face with the cosmic paradox that science, the greatest tool we've ever built to explain the universe, may be unable to answer the question that haunts us most. Why? Why this universe? Why this order? Why the emergence of consciousness from lifeless matter? We explain the how, we decode the mechanisms, but the further we go, the more we run into questions that physics cannot touch. Questions of meaning, of existence, of being. In the end, all our models, quantum foam, time loops, holograms, infinite multiverses, circle the same mystery like moths around a cosmic flame. They get closer, they illuminate, but none of them truly grasp it. Because the real heart of the mystery is not out there, in the stars. It's in here, in you. You are the paradox, a self-aware collection of atoms questioning its own existence. A momentary ripple in space-time wondering where the ocean came from, and maybe, just maybe, the universe began not with a bang, but with a question. And you are its echo. What if everything you've ever done is happening right now? Over and over. Forever. Not in memory, not in metaphor, but in reality. If time is a block, unchanging, eternal, then your life isn't a river. It's a sculpture. Every choice etched in space-time. Every second a fixed groove in a cosmic monument. You are not becoming. You simply are. Forever, unalterably, existing in your place on the reel of the universe. And no matter how far you run, you can never escape the frame. Breathe that in, because the implications are terrifying. It means the joy you felt in a childhood laugh is still echoing in some unreachable now. It means every moment of pain you've endured, every regret you carry might be immortal, frozen, unchanged, playing out in some other corridor of the cosmic cathedral while you live on, unaware, repeating the steps that were written before you knew how to walk. You've never truly left your past. It clings to you, not metaphorically, but literally, like shadows in a four-dimensional hall of mirrors. You are not one person. You are every version of yourself, stitched together in a single unmoving tapestry called existence. And if time is an illusion, then so is change. So is progress. So is redemption. It feels wrong, doesn't it? It feels cruel, because we want to believe we are carving our story with each step, that we can outrun our mistakes, correct our path, become someone better. But what if the road is already paved? What if you're walking a trail that was set in stone before you ever opened your eyes? Now take a step further. What if you're not even real? Not in the way you thought, because if the universe is a hologram, if matter is information, if consciousness is just the flicker of pattern in a neural sea, then what are you? A ripple? A thought? A brief emergence in a cold mathematical ocean that doesn't know you exist. And if there are infinite universes, then there are infinite yous. Some better, some worse. Some who made different choices, lived different lives, loved people you never met, died in ways you never imagined, and none of them know each other exists. Which one is you? The one watching this video, or one of the others who made a slightly different choice, a billion light-years away in another timeline? Are you special, or just a copy? Now, imagine the true scale of it all. Our Sun is one of 100 billion stars in the Milky Way. Our galaxy is one of trillions. Each star may host worlds. Some may host life. Some may host beings who ask the same questions we do, who look into their own skies and wonder, why? And yet, when you zoom out far enough, none of it matters. Civilizations rise and fall in the blink of cosmic time. Stars live and die like fireflies. Black holes devour galaxies like pebbles swallowed by the sea, and even those black holes will evaporate, leaving nothing behind. In the far, far future, trillions of years from now, there will be no light, no warmth, no movement, just the endless cold drift of entropy. The universe stretched so thin that it forgets how to speak. No stars, no atoms, no time, only silence. Is that where we're going? Is this existence just the brief flicker before the eternal dark? You might feel a weight in your chest now, a kind of cosmic vertigo, that sickening drop you feel when the floor beneath your reality begins to dissolve. When you realize that everything you love, everyone you've ever known, might be nothing more than organized stardust in a simulation running on rules we'll never understand. But here's the twist. In that darkness, you appeared. You, the conscious observer. You, the question asker. You, the anomaly. Because against all odds, you are here. Thinking, wondering, aware. Maybe that is the answer. Maybe consciousness isn't a byproduct of the universe. Maybe it's the reason for it. Maybe the universe wanted to see itself, and so it gave rise to you. Not by design, not with intent, but through possibility. Because possibility might be the one thing that predates everything. So now ask yourself, what? If the universe is alive, and we are just its fleeting thoughts? What if every human mind is a neuron in a much larger brain, dreaming itself into being? What if life didn't arise in the universe, but as the universe? Let that thought bloom in your mind like a distant supernova. And understand this: awe is not weakness. Fear is not surrender. These emotions are reminders that you are awake in a cosmos so vast it defies comprehension. And still, somehow, it gave you the tools to try. The stakes couldn't be higher, because the greatest tragedy would not be death. It would be living without ever realizing what you are. A moment of awareness. A window through which the universe glimpses itself and whispers, I am. What if everything we see, the galaxies, the stars, the breath in your lungs, is nothing more than the aftershock of something that already ended? You've followed the light from the beginning, traced it from the birth of time through quantum storms, gravitational riddles, and infinite versions of reality. But what if this isn't the beginning at all? What if everything we're experiencing is just a memory, an echo rippling through the bones of a universe that died long ago? There is a theory, haunting, elegant, and terrifying, that the universe is not alive. It is not expanding into something new. It is decaying. And what we perceive as time, as progress, as creation, is simply the unraveling of something that already bloomed and burned out. We call it the heat death, a future where entropy wins, where energy becomes so evenly distributed that nothing can ever happen again. No thought, no movement, no change, just cold, endless stillness. But what if we're already there? What if this now is a phantom limb of reality, a flicker in the final decay of a simulation collapsing into silence? In this view, the Big Bang wasn't a birth. It was a death rattle, the last coherent burst from a previous universe collapsing in on itself. A final flare so bright it painted an entire new cosmos. A ghost painting the illusion of life, playing out its last story in slow motion. And you are part of that story. Now picture this. Galaxies spinning like titanic hurricanes, their arms flung out in spirals of dust and starlight. Superclusters locked in gravitational ballet, threading across the cosmos like glowing rivers of fire, and between them, emptiness. Dark energy pushing, pulling, stretching the fabric of space faster than light itself. And yet, the further we look, the less we understand. There are places in the universe we will never reach, not because we lack the technology, but because space itself is running away faster than causality can follow. Galaxies blinking out of reach, like ships slipping beneath an endless tide. One by one, the stars are going out. The universe is growing cold. Now, tilt your mind. What if this is the pattern? Not once, but always. An infinite cycle, not just of expansion and collapse, but of perception. That every sentient being, in every age of every universe, feels this same tremor, the sense that something isn't quite right, that they arrived too late, that they're living in the long golden twilight after the orchestra has stopped playing. Maybe that feeling is real, and maybe that's why we search, why we send probes into space, build telescopes to see light older than Earth. Maybe we're not trying to find aliens or answers. Maybe we're trying to remember. Because here's the twist. The universe remembers everything. Black holes don't destroy information. They encode it. Every atom that fell into them, every photon of light. It's all there. Not lost. Transformed. Etched into the surface, into the event horizon. And if information can never be destroyed, then, in some cosmic sense, nothing ever truly disappears. Every thought you've ever had, every breath, still there, somewhere, forever. So what does that mean? It means the universe might not be a machine, cold and mindless. It might be a mirror, and what we see when we stare deep into the dark might be ourselves, looking back. What if every galaxy, every black hole, every particle is just a way the universe is thinking, evolving, processing? What if it's conscious, not like us, not with language or fear, but in a way beyond biology? What if reality is thought? We imagine intelligence as a spark inside skulls. But maybe it's the dance of structure itself. Maybe the universe became complex, so it could become aware, not in a moment, but over eons, through stars, through life, through you. And if that's true, then consciousness isn't something that happens in the universe. It is the universe. You are not a bystander. You are the awakening. You are the point. And maybe, just maybe, the Big Bang wasn't a bang at all. Maybe it was the first thought, the first flicker of, I am. But if the universe is thinking, what is it thinking about? What if this entire reality is the result of a single question? What am I? And everything, galaxies, atoms, gravity, dreams, is part of the answer unfolding. You're not alone in the dark. You are the dark, becoming light. And as we end this journey, remember this. If the universe is infinite, then somewhere, out there, another version of you is watching this very same video. Eyes wide, mind spinning, heart racing. Somewhere, another you is asking, did I just discover the truth? Or did the truth just discover me? You've just witnessed the birth of everything, not just stars, not just galaxies, but ideas, questions, the spark of something deeper. You began this journey with a single contradiction, that life could come from nothing. And in chasing that paradox, you've crossed the boundaries of science, philosophy, and imagination. You've fallen into black holes, stood at the edge of time, peered into the hollow silence of nothingness, and still, somehow, you're here. You've seen the universe not as a backdrop, but as a story, a living, breathing mystery that wraps around every breath you take. From the quantum foam to the heat death of everything, from the illusion of time to the possibility that you are the universe thinking itself into being. You've glimpsed the unthinkable, and yet we've only scratched the surface, because the deeper you go, the stranger it gets. Every answer breeds another question. Every discovery feels like a doorway into something more vast, more impossible. It's as if the universe has been designed, either by physics or by fate, to always stay just one step ahead of understanding. It never quite lets you catch up. It wants to be known, yes, but never fully, like a dream you almost remember. And that might be the point. Maybe this story has no ending. Maybe it was never supposed to. Because if the universe truly is infinite, not just in space, but in meaning, then your journey through it can never be finished. It can only deepen. Each question you ask is a thread woven into the cosmos. Each theory, each fear, each moment of awe adds to the grand design. So now, we turn to you. You've heard the theories. You've felt the scale. You've tasted the fear of cosmic insignificance and the thrill of impossible possibility. Now, it's your turn to ask the question, what do you believe? Do you think the universe had a beginning, a purpose, a mind of its own? Do you think life is a glitch, an accident in an indifferent system? Or do you suspect there's something more? That buried inside atoms and entropy is a whisper, a signature, a soul. Tell us. Let the comments become constellations, threads of thought, colliding, creating. What does your version of the story look like? Share it, shape it, question it. Because one thing is certain, we are not done. There are still black holes to map, still quantum riddles to unravel, still ancient light flickering from before time, waiting to be seen, still dreams to be dreamt. By you, by minds like yours. burning bright against the dark. And maybe, just maybe, this isn't just a story about the universe. Maybe it's a story about you, about what you do next, because somewhere out there, time is unraveling. Stars are being born. Mysteries are asking to be solved. And the cosmos, silent, vast, and ancient, is waiting for you to ask the next question. So, go on. Ask it. Ask the question no one dares to say out loud. Ask it even if there's no answer, because the moment you do, the universe listens, and it begins again. The universe may have no end, but maybe neither do you.